Hi everybody, welcome to Augusta, Wisconsin. I'm Justin Travis, agronomist at Countryside Co-op in Osseo, our Kings Valley location. And today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about potassium. Kind of what potassium does within the plant, what to look for out in your field, and how we can correct that. So first we'll start, what does potassium do in your plants? Potassium is a big driver in our water use efficiency, so it regulates how much our plants use on a daily basis, whether it's corn, soybeans, or alfalfa. And as we get into our late growing season, like we are today, the middle to the end of August, water typically gets to be a little bit of a limiting factor this time of year. So we want to make sure our potassium levels are good, so our plants can utilize what water they have to the max. The other thing potassium will do, and this is especially important to our perennial crops such as alfalfa, is it helps with the winter survivability or the winter hardiness of those crops. And as you all know, if you're a dairy farmer or growing hay for forage, in certain regions of our trade territory we had quite a large amount of alfalfa winter kill. So we want to make sure we have plenty of potassium for that alfalfa here after our last cuttings to help our alfalfa going into winter. So today we're actually standing in a bean field here near Augusta, Wisconsin. Just kind of wanted to show you guys what to look for out in the field as we get into this later stage of the growing season. And so this grower actually threw some beans in this field really late. The field had some manure on it last year, but it didn't get any commercial fertilizer on it. And so now we're starting to see some of the effects of the shortage of potassium. So as you can see in my left hand, we have a soybean plant from the healthy part of the field where the field actually got some manure before planting. The plant looks nice and green, it's tall, pod fill is well on its way, and the beans are starting to come around. As we look into some of the parts of the field that didn't get the manure, we can start to see some potassium deficiency showing up by the yellowing on the leaf margins, on the edges of the leaves, and also the plant height is much shorter than our better areas of the field. So definitely less pods. The beans that are in the pods are a lot smaller and a lot shorter plant on the areas where we're short on potash or potassium versus our better parts of the field. And so what can we do to correct this? You know, as we get into this time of year, as our growing season is winding down, we're taking off our oats, rye, wheat, all our small grain crops. So it's perfect time to get some potash out there with your cover crop going into fall. As we take this last cutting of hay off, you know, certainly a good time to get some potash out there before going into winter. And then as we get into corn silage and corn harvest, again, fall application of potash there as well. To help you out going into next growing season. And so a couple other things to think about as we get into the fall and fall application of potash here is, you know, where do we need to be at? What do we need to do to get the max out of the potash that we put out there? So thinking forward a little bit, you know, our corn crop on a 200 bushel yield goal, we're going to use roughly that 100 pounds of potash. On a 70 bushel bean crop, we're going to need roughly 150 pounds of potash out there just to supply that crop for next year's needs. So we need to be putting that out either this fall or next spring so we can feed that crop, plus if we want to put any extra in there to help build our soil up. The other thing to think about as we get in towards fall is our ag lime. And so to get the max availability out of our potash, we want our pH levels to be within a 6 to a 7, depending on what crop you're growing, to have maximum availability for that potassium. And also the nice part about spreading some potash in the fall is typically our potash prices are a little cheaper. So as we all know, margins are tight, commodity prices are low. So the fall is a great time to get your fall potash application put out there. So with that, I just want to say thank you. Again, talk to your agronomist at each of your locations on how your soil is looking on potassium levels, how much you need to be putting out there, and let's get something set up for this fall.